Lham. My name is Thaye. Her art, her craft and oh her lovely cakes. She's one of the first bakers to bring our cakes to life with her fondant art and is the owner of Meraki Café in Thimphu. Welcome to the show. Oh, thank you so much for having us in your beautiful cafe. I've always been curious about the lady behind the art. I'm quite a noob, as they say, in cakes and art. I wanted to know, how did cake come into your life, La?
First of all, thank you so much for inviting me to your show. To answer to your question, even I didn't expect that I would be taking cake as my profession. I never thought about it because, at least for me, I come from a generation where forget a baking oven. We don't even have a microwave at home.
Exactly, no.
Yeah. So I think I came in this business by chance. I think it all happened because of my interactions with expats who visited Bhutan.
Okay.
I think I started off with a pancake, but I personally never thought I would be taking baking as my profession or making a living out of it. So I think it all happened because of internet. That's what I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. Because my background is during college days, I didn't take up culinary. It only came on later. And I think thanks to my interaction with expats who visited Bhutan, people that I met through vast Bhutan and all, I think that's how I got interested into. But specifically for cake art, I think it all happened because I always wanted to take up art as my profession, but I've not been successful then. But now at least I think I found sugar art, so at least I'm happy with it.
Do you remember the first cake you baked, La?
The first cake, yes.
Tell us about it, La.
I think I got it all wrong because unlike cooking, baking is all about science. I did with all cooked up recipes that I saw online, which was not measured properly. So obviously it was a disaster.
And did you think, I can not do this, cake is not meant for me, or did you think, okay, I'll try another one?
I think I always enjoyed making it rather than eating it. I must be one of those few bakers who don't like to eat cakes. Yeah, I think starting off, going back to the pancake stage, meeting expats and all, that's where it started. And failing in how to, when I made that disastrous cake, it didn't discourage me. I got more inquisitive. I think that's what keeps me going, even till now.
When was this pancake stage? Like, which year do you remember? Like, how old were you?
I think I must have been in 4th, 5th standard.
Wow, last, okay. So quite early in life.
You don't get parchment paper then. You have to peel off the amul butter paper to use it as parchment paper then. And me with my elder siblings, they showed me how to do pancakes, and then later on pressure cooker. Then it moved to using rice cooker to bake cakes. That's how it happened. But the exposure to oven only came later on.
So you must have had to make do with a lot of your own ideas. Did you, other than the amul butter paper, do you remember some things that you were just doing it, winging it?
If you go back to the classics where the Europeans have started to bake, they didn't have fancy tools. It all went by eyeballing. So at least I might have struggled academically, but my visuals are very strong. So that has helped me. I had baked butter cake even in a cast iron pan.
Wow, really?
I think early on discipline must have helped me. I come up from a family where we are really disciplined well. I hated it as a child. I told my elder also. But as you grow up, then you appreciate it. From making to easy, people who come from outside, the way they see my siblings, how we cook and prepare things, we are quite particular. So I think that upbringing has helped me. That must have been the root for me not to give up and be detail oriented.
I was going to go into where you're from and your family, and you just you mentioned it, so please go ahead.
I'm from Thimphu. I grew up here. Never went to a hostel. I'm very fortunate in that way. I always had elders taking care of me. And only when I finished my high school, then I went to India to graduate, and that was the only time where I experienced hostel life.
And what kind of a student were you? Like, were you a good student? What was your favorite subject? What did you do really well in all the time and not so well?
You should ask me where all I failed. I think for me it was mainly because I was more interested in art. Everybody in the class got up and said they want to become an army officer, a doctor and all, but I was the odd one out to say I want to become an artist.
Oh, you were used to say that you became.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
I
Okay.
think it's also because of an exposure. Somebody I know very closely was an artist.
Oh,
so
las.
I think that must have influenced me and made me more curious. I only did well in maths. Other subjects were all terrible. Not that I'm encouraging the youth of Bhutan that education is not important. I can go later on how education and reading is more important, and if you're dead serious about baking as a profession, you better read.
Okay, it doesn't hurt to have that educational background more. I was going to ask you, did you do any kind of training in baking or?
I'm happy that you're asking me this question because I'm not that great. I'm just one of those bakers. We are quite a few of us in Thimphu who have taken this and making a living out of it. And it's good that you're asking me because I have a lot of young people asking me that, he or she knows some recipe and they want to start a business. And the ones who have come and contacted me personally or online, I have always advised them that if you are serious about doing this business, you need to take up culinary arts. Because it's just not one hat that you're wearing if you are serious about this. So earlier I did business management as a degree, and I worked and I've been fortunate that I got exposure to work in an international office at WWF. And this is why I want to stress why it's important for to a certain age. I think it's important for us to work for others so that we learn. But for me, baking, the serious thought to start and take it as a career came when I hit 29. The 30th alarm was too strong for me. I started to panic because I was able to work, but it didn't fulfill me much. For a regular Bhutanese, I had a very comfortable and good job, but I really wanted to take it, and I did research, and I studied, did my degree in India, so that's how I got in touch with my friends. And my husband happened to be studying in Switzerland, the place where a lot of good chocolates and baking and all of the basic skills are taken up professionally. So I had few helps here and there. So to really decide, initially I did a short trip and a short training in Switzerland, in 2 bakeries, and that's where I decided that I'm really gonna resign by the time I hit 30.
Can you tell us about that moment? Describe us that moment when you were like, I know for sure that this is what I'm going to do, because it's a big moment in a person's life. Mola, can you tell us?
I reached a point where in life that I've been quite responsible person, so that was the time I thought soon I'm going to be 30. I really enjoy doing this, and I could at least have a saving to start somewhere. And I think I realized I was mature enough to realize that I could turn what I love into a livelihood.
I think that's one of the privileges that we have, Nola, and also a honor, I feel, because even me, my work is my passion. So I think it's very not many people get to do that, no? Like, of course, every work is never 100% pure joy, but I think overall, if the overall package is what you really like doing in life, then I think it completely outweighs the cons. I think it brings you even like happiness and inner balance when you find what you love, first of all, and then you can make that into your work. That's the best thing.
Yes, for me, talking about inner balance,
Yes.
baking is very meditative for me.
Yes.
That's why I choose the word Meraki for this cafe also. It's a Greek word,
Yes.
not that my cafe deals in Greek food, but it's a philosophy that even the Japanese believe in it. In
Yes.
Japanese language, I think it's called ikigai. Meraki means doing something that you love,
Yes.
and you create things with your hand, and whatever you create has a part of your soul. So I'm very much influenced by that sort of lifestyle where you're not too serious about what you're doing, but at least it keeps things moving forward, and you don't feel stagnated because every day is a challenge. I have a very close friend who said that when she saw me decorate a cake, she said, "Actually, I never imagined you do this because, like I said, I didn't do very well academically. But the work that I do on a daily basis is like I'm doing a final examination every day because I don't have time for correction."
Yes, yes.
But as I mature, I think I didn't mind hard work. I didn't mind long hours, and I welcomed challenges. I think that has kept me going.
Yes. And it must bring you a certain kind of fulfillment and joy, maybe, when the thing that you've created with your hand, like you said, and then you send that off into the world, and it goes to a party, and it's so meaningful to them. It's a group that you don't know is celebrating something very important to them, like a baby being born. It's something very intimate, something very personal, and it's like a gift of art.
This is something that I have told my team members where I work currently. I always tell them that, in the beginning, if you're not serious about this job, you can't keep hopping, but if you really love what you're doing and learning out here, I tell them that at least the job that we do has to do with good memories, I'm like, look at the doctors, look at the amount of pressure that they are under.
Yes.
Compared to that, I think baker's life is peaceful. That's why I always believe that, at least what I get to do and people around me that we get to do, I remind them that we're creating good memories. And because of that, we can't afford mishaps. We can't take our job so easily.
Yes. Do you remember the first time you sold your cake? When was that? The first time you were paid for your cake?
Yes. I didn't even know how to charge it, so I was quite happy that one of my friends, she ordered the birthday cake for her son.
Yes.
When I look at the picture, it's quite embarrassing because the frosting didn't work, the proportions were all wrong.
But was it a special moment for you,
But what's nice is when you have a big family and a lot of friends, it's okay, they let you try. So I've been lucky that way.
When did you start the Meraki Cafe?
I started a smaller one in northern Lham, but I realized that because I was baking and the outlet was in the town, it wasn't convenient and it wasn't a long run for the business. So I wanted to expand. On a positive note, I'm very happy that I was able to have help from my husband, who happens to be doing a construction in a prime area, and I could capitalize on it. And I opened the cafe before my late father passed away last year. So that's the positive note. But just as life it is, I launched the cafe end of 2019. So I welcome 2020 with a lot of challenges.
So, your father got to see you open a cafe. How was that moment?
I think that was the biggest satisfaction I have, because I wanted to at least let him see that I can do it.
Yes, and you're doing it so well. I think you're one of the first bakers to bring our cakes to life with your art, and your fondant art. I've seen all your Instagram pictures. It's so well done. Is that what you learned in when you were in Switzerland?
Switzerland is where I didn't do a diploma course. It was more like like an orientation if I'm serious about the business. Because the way the Swiss work is top notch. We need to learn a lot on that from them. And I think the exposure in Switzerland was HR, the way they handle their human resource. That was an eye-opening for me. And later on, after coming back and leaving my well-paid job, very comfortable position, I realized that it's not going to be enough. And training in Thailand is not good enough. So I've done a diploma initially. And then later on, 3 years ago, I've done my master's in French patisserie and classical and modern French baking, besides cake art, sugar art. So all these things are different.
Wow, so you really have quite a few feathers in your hat, Mola.
As much as I got greedy about learning, it's sometimes you can't pick it. Even if you're able to do it, to capitalize on it, I think that's been a challenge for me. Because inheriting what I learned and what I'm passionate about to people who work here with me, you need a lot of patience.
On the same kind of nerve line, what do you think are some of the challenges for as being an entrepreneur, or do you think there are also specific challenges for being a woman entrepreneur? Or do you think it's the same?
I'm brought up by a father who never told me, you can't do this.
Yes.
And in that I'm fortunate. And I didn't grow up having to fight for it. But of course, I find it humorous, because when people call me and they find out that I'm the owner or the pastry chef, so the first thing is sir. That's how they address me over the phone.
Yes.
So otherwise, compared to other women around me, I think I've been very fortunate. But there were certain instances where you're reminded that, they assume an owner has to be a man. Somebody who can do a lot of bulk baking in bread has to be a man. But one message that I really want to be clear is, I think compared to other countries, Bhutan, it sounds like a cliche, but we are quite comfortable when it comes to gender bias. The only thing I would like to address is not men, but we women to each other. Like how you came and said, oh, let's do this show, and you're comfortable about it. I think we need to support each other. Because this is a big compliment for our Bhutanese men. Not that it doesn't exist, the gender bias topic. I think in Bhutan, at least my experience had been the lack of another woman supporting another woman. Men do it well because they are comfortable in doing it. But in Bhutan, I think we women, because of our past culture, but it's going away very fast. We are too scared to be labeled as the famous term, Musatadu. I think we as women have to help each other.
I believe that too.
It's okay to be tough.
I believe that
I think it's very wrong to be lukewarm.
And you're right, I think I was reading some article some time ago, and it said that in these countries where women are always marginalized, women are always discriminated, the majority of the time that is done on them is other women. Other women do that, and they uphold more than the men. They are the ones upholding this culture of girls don't eat with boys, boys eat before girls. It's the mother who does that, it's the friend who does that, it's the wife who does that.
Yes.
It's always
Especially in Asia.
Yes. It's quite sad. But like you said, I think maybe it's changing now. I think.
And I think our country, we are very fortunate, and by even spiritually, there's not much discrimination. Of course, it does exist, but the past doesn't matter. I feel that we have so much of freedom. I could walk to Ministry of Trade and get my trade license. Like I did a short training in Rajasthan. 1 hour shopping, suddenly you feel creeped out because you realize all the shopkeepers and people who came out to buy things were all men around you.
Yes, it's true. Like, we are quite lucky like, in that way. I think all we now need is women to come out and support each other more and really build this kind of a wonderful women's space.
I think the same gender has to be more supportive about the other. Than the things. Women in Bhutan are much luckier.
Yes, I have a very strong mother. She is a matriarch. I come from quite a matriarchal family, and I also get a sense of a strong woman from Yula. Maybe not as loud as me, but there's kind of like an inner strength from Yula. Do you would you describe yourself as a very strong? How would you describe yourself, La?
I come from South Thimphu, so obviously it's matriarchal. I grew up around a woman with very strong personality who won't keep quiet during Zomdu. My mother showed us tolerance, acceptance, not judging another woman. But being from the capital, I think I'm very fortunate that I'm born here. So my life compared to a lot of women around me has been comfortable, I think, because of my Lham. I think that's why I think I feel very fortunate, and it's easier for me to take things. But at the same time, I'm aware it's not the same for somebody who might be living just next door or you're working with. I do not like to generalize. But yes, I grew up with women of very strong personality. My father's side, his late mother, I've not been lucky to meet her, but she's supposed to be a trader, like who would go to Paris and Tibet on foot. And at least the little stories I heard from my dad, I think my late Appa has never been biased about gender, and the way how he treated my mother and how his sisters have shown us that it doesn't matter whether you're a puja or amso, Dandra Bisup se, Dandra Bisup, and you can work hard equally together, not against each other. I think that has shaped a lot of us in the family.
Who would you say has been your biggest cheerleader through all of this?
I can't name one, all of them will get angry. But somebody who's been through thick and thin and even painstakingly has accepted my crazy dream of investing so much. And even through now, going through this pandemic, is my husband. I think without a very good partner in life, one can't pursue some form of love for art. You need to have somebody behind your back. But overall, I have this group, the pack, who always support me. Be it, if they travel somewhere, they would always bring some ideas for me. And it's not just food related, it could be about interior, it could be about an idea, it could be about a TED talk. So I'm very fortunate to have friends who are well-traveled, educated. Besides cheerleader, I think in life, be it man or woman, I think it's very important to have a mentor, and not just one. I have quite a lot of them. I think your first mentor is your father and mother, then your elder siblings. Then as you grow up, I think you have to push yourself to meet certain people whom you gel well with, and you feel good about yourself. At the same time, you need to hang around with friends who are very critical, otherwise you will turn shallow.
What you just said reminded me of that famous Baz Luhrmann's song, live in New York once, get out before it makes you too hard. Live in LA once, get out before it makes you too soft. You need the perfect balance, no? Yes.
Life isn't all about, even in baking, it's not all about sugar, you know. You need a pinch of salt in it. Yeah.
What future plans do you have, La?
I'm in my late 30s, so just like the 30 alarm clock, I'm planning for my retirement. Because the work that me and my team, we do here, it's not very kind to you when you age. That's why I tell people around me that if you're in it, please be serious about it. By late 50s, it would be unfair for me to come to work and make my team slog with it. Because the job that we do, at least the cold kitchen, the bakery side, not that the hot kitchen is easy, hours require late hours to early morning. Sometimes it means standing and baking for 12 hours.
Wow, really, La?
Yes, and you can't talk much. Maybe you listen to your music and you just try to complete it, and you divide every hour of the day by minute and you have to manage. So I don't think I would be able to manage this. So my future plan is, first is to get out from this big challenge because of the pandemic, obviously. And the next is at least groom and mentor people who are willing to work in partnership with me. I think that is much healthier. I don't have big hopes and all. Besides making a profit, it has to sustain. It just can't be all about art.
As much as we would like it to be.
Yes.
And what advice or message would you give out to young girls out there who are also thinking about starting cafes and bakeries and starting doing baking? What would you say, La, to them?
I don't have advice specifically for women. I think this goes out to any young person, be it men or women, that they want to take this. Like I said, please don't start a cafe just because you have 4 recipes out of YouTube. It helps you get on, but I'm not saying because I'm experienced, I'm saying because I made a lot of mistakes. At least take it seriously. Out here, there's a lot of institutes that have started giving trainings. It may not be perfect instantly, but I think at least take it professionally and explore, look for mentors, meet more people, and please read. You cannot do pastry without reading and exposing yourself to more knowledge, because it's not in our culture. Baking is not in the culture, so you have to expose yourself. I'm happy when I get to create a challenging cake. A nice body massage after a long week. When people think that you can emulsify egg in sugar, that's not going to happen. I don't mind 70% chocolate. I think it's nighttime, that's where I function very well. And that's where a lot of my staff slog behind me to learn what they want to learn from me, because that time there's no disturbance, you don't have phone calls and all. So nighttime you can really focus on your work. As kiddish as it may sound, who is not happy making somebody else happy? I think when you're an entrepreneur, your objective is clear. You don't have to put 20 note sheets and an explanation of why you need to do. You're able to not go through a huge process. You know what is not important to you. You don't have to sit for a general meeting and get it done. You get it done because it's required instantly. So I think that's the best part of being an entrepreneur. I think being a woman, you don't have to be so hard up. I think in that manner, in Bhutan, compared to men, we are very lucky. You can always be the soft-spoken and the understanding and the patient one to sort things out, or get things to be done fairly. I think that's the biggest strength of being a woman. That's something that is in our nature.
Thank you so much for that message, and thank you so much for the time that you've given us in this beautiful, I won't even call it cafe, I call it a space. Now that I've had this talk with you, I feel like it's a space now, it's not just a cafe. And thank you so much, Lham, for hosting us. And thank you guys for watching. Do remember, you're strong, you're smart, you're beautiful, and take care.